Welcome to Life Through Her Eyes. I'm your host, Jackie.
I'm Debbie.
And welcome back. So glad to have you back with us. So, last episode, we were talking about what role society and media play in our lives. We kind of took it more on the negative side. So, we kind of want to spin that and show you that there's a positive side to all those things, too. I first want to start with how we can find our tribe. There's so many options to be able to talk to people all the way across the world or get in touch with people all the way, on the other side of the world and find out that's actually kind of more up the alley of the life that I want to live. My
Right.
future, what I want to cultivate. And I know it's possible there. And so many years ago, like we wouldn't have known that. If I was in a different time, I couldn't see myself even having the opportunity to be able to live the kind of life that I see myself wanting to live now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that you were property back then, or we were property back then.
that part. I was more meaning because I like to know about like other places and other cultures and stuff, but yeah, that part too. I don't want to be property. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. So, what about for you, Deborah? Are there any things that you can think of that stand out to you that have been a good influence on you from society, from media culture, social media, any of those new technologies?
Yeah, I mean, the internet's amazing. There's so many things that you can benefit from that are great. Like even little things like reviews. Back in the day, you had to
Mm.
just take your friend or family's word of mouth review on a restaurant or a store or anything like that, or a service that they got, like a haircut, right?
Right?
And
Mhm.
so when I think about that, back then I had to know someone who had the money and has spent the
Mm.
time already to do that thing. Now I can just get online, go to Google, Yelp, anything like that, just to find a review, or even go to the website and see reviews. So it's kind of nice to get a stranger's review, or their opinion, I should say, because maybe they're in the same demographic as me. So maybe they had a different experience than, say, my friend who is not in the same demographic as me. I think that that's, for me, a huge benefit, just being able to have like a larger community that gives me reviews, especially when I go vacationing. That's extremely important for me.
Especially 100% agree, to be able to vacation somewhere and travel somewhere, the opportunity to find out the information of what's the best time of year to go there, what are the locals suggesting for
Right.
places to eat, to stay, to do excursions through, what are the safest because of my demographic or your demographic, two single women traveling together. There's going to be different traveling tips for them versus a group of men on a bachelor's trip or a man and woman couple going somewhere. It's different demographics for sure. So knowing the differences and the best stuff for it is makes a huge difference.
It definitely has for me.
Yeah. Hey, at least it wasn't her butthole.
Right. At least not the butthole. Holy crap. This cat is on one tonight. Like, what the? Did you
Yes.
get a catnip, Jackie? Like, for real? Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love it. We're just like, yeah, that's like.
I'm like, I can't ignore that, Jackie. I'm sorry.
Do you see this? He's trying to be nonchalant with his cat walks across. I'm like, I know. I've seen some really funny videos of that when people were doing like Zoom stuff
Yeah,
at
for work.
home, and the
Yeah.
kid does some crazy crap in the back.
Look. They
So
walk past butt naked and they're like, "Oh my god,
there was one
sorry."
there was one where these little kids kept trying to come in. It's like an office, and then you
Yeah.
see a wife. I mean, you can tell it was the wife, because the little kids look just like her. And she
Uh-huh.
comes in and she like grabs one, and she's like, she gets that one out while the second one's crawling back in. She has to run back in and get that one too, and then another one's coming in. Then she's shutting the door behind her, and the guy's just standing there, he's like, blah 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 blah. It was like news or something. It was crazy.
Hmm.
It was hilarious.
That's
That part.
awesome.
All
That
right.
part.
So anyway.
Anyways, yes, yes. Sorry. And then
Yeah,
your
no,
cat,
you apologize. Yeah, I know. I apologize. That's
your cat being a cat.
yeah. Cat being cats, they be catting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were talking, and then your cat jumped in the way.
So I feel that with a lot of the travel opportunities, I think along comes with the career opportunities that get expanded because of that as well. To be able to go to another country and work from there doing stuff remotely, and you can still have places here, in the United States, things that me and you are talking about doing. And then look at just this too, YouTube as a platform.
Right.
To be able to look at this as a career opportunity, it's absolutely legitimate. It's feasible. Like, you can do this. This is an option. And I can't get over how cool that is. I just think it's phenomenally cool.
That's not aging you at all. I agree, though.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
But really, because I mean, look at the different options that it gives to people and younger kids now versus before. I mean, how much that I enjoy dance. I would have been one of these kids that are doing all the TikTok dances. You know what I mean? If I
Absolutely.
would have grown up with that. I
Yes,
remember
we would have.
watching music videos, getting like recording them on VHS tapes, practicing the moves from our favorite music videos, combining them into a dance setup, and choreographing, songs for talent shows. I
Yeah, I remember.
definitely would have been a dancing TikToker. Like, that would have been an option for me.
Absolutely. You would have
Like,
gone viral, Jackie.
I just think it's cool. It's really cool. And talking with my best friend, being able to say, yeah, we got a YouTube channel. Like, that is so cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Yay.
I don't care if I'm aging myself.
I mean, you're aging like fine wine, my girl. But I'm just saying,
That part. I know. I know.
it's all good. Jackie, another area that I feel like I've been influenced by society has definitely been learning tools, knowledge based stuff. For me, YouTube was one of those areas that I was able to learn during COVID whenever we were on lockdown. I don't know if you all remember that. It was eons ago.
Don't
I,
remember at all. Not at all.
right. Oh, I must have missed that. When did that happen? I I was able to learn how to crochet. I had a roommate that had some crochet needles and some yarn, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, can you teach me?" And she's like, "Go on YouTube." And was like, "That's rude." But then I realized she was putting me on game. She was like, "That's how I learned, and I think that it's really good for you." And then whenever I found out that YouTube has the ability to slow a video down or speed it up, I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I can slowly see what the people are doing with their hands and really pay attention." And then when there's a type of knot I was supposed to do, I would even be able to like pause that video, go to another YouTube video, and I was able to learn that and then go back to the first video. And it took a little bit of getting used to, but I was able to learn new things. So I personally think the internet is an amazing space for knowledge base. The fact that we used to have encyclopedias and it used to take me forever to figure out what information on whatever subject I had, whether it's for school or just because me and my friends were curious about something, it was very time consuming. We had to make sure our friends' parents had the encyclopedia and then all of it, not just pieces and parts of it. And it's just so easy now to just ask Siri or Alexa or Google or look it up on the internet to
Yeah.
get answers. I am so very grateful that I live in an information age.
I 100% agree that that knowledge base expanding is right up there. It's just knowledge is power. And I love those DIYs like you. You know, we both definitely can get lost in those DIYs
Right. Easily.
easily. And that makes it even more fun to think about the kind of future that you and I have talked about, what we want to do, and moving forward with that, being able to look at that as an option with health and wellness and making that a career in
Right.
different places and all the things that we can learn about to be able to do on those properties. If we don't know how to do it, look it up on YouTube, right? I feel
Literally.
like that's like a saying basically.
Right.
And I agree. Yeah, the internet. I feel like I do enough digging to know whether something is false or not. Because I do try to make sure while I'm learning all this information, you know, it's so much information, you know, to make sure that that's correct information is huge for sure.
That's hard with so much misinformation and fake news
Yeah,
that we have out there. It is very narrated and has a ulterior motive, and oftentimes behind why they're saying what they're saying, when they're saying it, how they're saying it,
right.
putting fear into people.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very strategic. It's
yeah,
very interesting how strategic that is.
absolutely. It's wild. It's really wild. Almost sometimes you got to like sit back and you're like, this is all for real. It's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy.
That is pretty.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I feel I also can see that dynamic shift too, because there's a lot more people that are focused on finding the truth as opposed to just finding answers. And I'm seeing these movements, right, where people are like, hmm, is that real or not real? I want to investigate. And along with forward thinking of I'm going to think for myself with my own mind, seeing women becoming more empowered and not as much of the I have to look like her. You know, I mean there's still that pressure, but it's shifting, right? Like I can almost feel like that shift where women, there's this movement where makeup free, fresh face, organic, natural, you know,
Right.
not trying to be this image. I am me and that's enough. And
Right.
it's
Pamela Anderson, Lee, and also Alicia Keys are really big in that movement. And it's very inspiring to see beautiful women like that who I'm sure had a lot of pressure in their career to
mm,
look a certain way and to be a certain standard of beauty. And as they are aging,
mm,
as all of us are, none of us are
absolutely.
escaping that. All of
Mm,
us are getting older, not younger. There are no Benjamin Buttons that really exist. So I think it's very inspiring. And also for me, the anti-aging movement is really beautiful to me, seeing that there are people who are like, especially women out there, saying, why are we always talking like aging's a bad thing? Is there ever going to be a day that I can be in my body and be like, this is okay and acceptable and still beautiful? I'm just in a different stage,
absolutely.
because we have different stages in life. Sometimes we're a baby, and then we're toddler stage, and then we're young child, then teenagers, then young adults,
Mhm.
and we're 20s, 30s, and we go on all the time. And each decade, our body changes and evolves, and it's
Yeah,
different
that
versions
is.
of ourselves. And right, different versions of ourselves. And why are we trying to not embrace the aged version of ourselves? Or is it that we're upset that we didn't take better care of ourselves?
Mm,
And as we're aging in not so pretty of a way.
or graceful or
Right. Not as
yeah,
gracefully
yeah.
as one would think.
Mm, right. Or the
And
things that
I
maybe we did in our life are catching up to us and they're showing.
exactly. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes society is a little bit harder on women than they are men concerning aging. Like if you see a gray haired man, you're like, ooh, he's a gray fox. But
Distinguishing.
I don't hear that term as much with women. And that's
Right.
why every time I
Mhm.
see a woman with beautiful gray or white hair, I always compliment them because I want them to feel beautiful in that moment and be
Mhm.
like, just because y- you're aging doesn't mean that you're unattractive anymore. It just means you're beautiful in this next stage of your life.
Exactly. It doesn't give you less value. If anything, you have more value because you've lived longer, you know more, you've got more wisdom, you've had more time to hopefully evolve,
More
and
experience.
exactly 100%.
For me, I also had like teachers that really made a difference for me. I had one in
Mm,
seventh grade. I don't know if we shared them as a teacher, but she was just so kind and just made me feel like she saw me and she would hear me. If I had a question, no question was too stupid or too quote unquote inappropriate. She was just very good. Like she was probably my favorite teacher. And
mm,
I feel like I work harder, or people tend to work harder whenever they have somebody who is genuine and will motivate them and isn't trying to just have them be a number
yeah.
or just some kid that was in their class this year, but they're actually engaging in this
Mm,
person's life and care about them. And so, yeah, my English teacher in seventh grade definitely was a great social influence for me because it was during a time of awkwardness and going through puberty and everything. I feel like I could feel comfortable. And if I needed anything, if there was any sort of emergency, I felt like I would be heard and it wouldn't just be like, oh, shut up, go sit down or whatever. Of course you need to do this or
mhm.
another bathroom break. Like when you're
Yeah.
starting to menstruate or whatever as a young girl, that's hard
Mm.
to say to some teachers or anyone to talk about that. So I'm very grateful for my personal seventh grade teacher. Did you have any teachers, Jackie, that made any impact or any mentors or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had a teacher in high school. He was a drama teacher, and he definitely said a lot of things, taught us a lot of things, and even just his way about holding a class. It was no nonsense. It was, I want the right people in my class, and this is how I weed them out. And if you don't have the right outlook on this, because it's drama class, if you're coming here because you think it's a blow off class, you're in the wrong place. And the first day, he gives you this crazy assignment and it's due the next day. And so within days, every single person that thought that drama class was a blow off class had another thing coming. And so, of course,
Back
all the,
hard.
yeah, all the people that are left are people that are going to do the work.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that instilled a lot into me, knowing, know what you love to do and whatever it takes, you do it. And honestly, because I loved it, I didn't feel like it was a rigorous assignment. I felt like this is stuff I want to do because this is what I want to do when I grow up. And then with that too, he gave such good advice that I feel like for the first time really set apart. It was adult advice for young adults. It wasn't saying you can be whatever you dream, give 100%, which that's wonderful. I do believe we need
Yeah.
to tell our children that because they have a big mind and they need to dream up all this stuff and then help cultivate that, guide that as they grow. But at that point in time in high school, he's just kind of like, hey, this is how it is. And that's the reality of it. And for the first time, I was able to look at it at a childhood dream, right? With adult eyes. And
Yes.
that's a beautiful moment. And I mean, that's something irreplaceable. And I know that that was definitely instilled by that teacher for sure. So
That's awesome.
things that I definitely took into adulthood.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful, Jackie.
Yeah. Yay. For our teachers. For our teachers.
Thank
You
you
do
so
too.
much for teaching us and tolerating us and our
Oh,
chattiness
and you do too much. You do too much, and you
for
do
too
not
little.
for too little. I know.
Too little appreciation, too little money, too little time, all the
All of
too
that.
littles,
All of that. All of that.
all of the too littles.
You know, I feel like with that said as well, I can see people that we surround ourselves with in our adult life, our coworkers, people we have around us on our daily basis can make such a huge impact on us as well. Are there times in your life or maybe in your current state where you feel that's made a positive influence on your life?
Yes. Coworkers, when you think about it, they're like your extended family
Mm.
because you're around them usually 40 plus hours a week if you work a full time job, like most people in America.
Right.
And you get to know these people on a very intimate level. They tell you their backstories, you hear about what's going on in their family and all that stuff. But when you create that bond, you tend to want to do things for each other and show up for each other in your lives. So just this past week, I was injured. I had done too much massage. I had gone too hard, too many deep tissues. I compressed a nerve in my arm or shoulder that was just causing me to have crazy nerve pain that was just tingling numbness going shooting into my hand all the
Mm.
way down my arm. It would wake me up every night. I'd be crying.
Mm.
It was just horrible. And I just kind of posted online what was going on and that I was calling in to have a day of rest. And if anyone could help, let me know. And between my two jobs, I had three different people come in and give me free massage and just look after me and give me extra goodies because they're so sweet and they love me. And so for me, my coworkers definitely have been a very positive part of my current life, at least. I mean, we all have coworkers at some point in our life that absolutely get under your skin and irk you. And every time you get to work, if you see their car, you're just like, ugh. And, before you even walk in and see them, you're like, ugh, they're here, gross. And then you put on your little fake employee face and you go in there and say hi to everyone, including them, when everyone knows how you feel. You know who you are. So yeah,
Right.
I think employees currently, at least my current ones at my jobs, I'm creating a really good bond with, and they definitely look out for me even when I was hungover last week and or a couple weeks ago, and I was like, no, don't help me. It's my fault. I did this to myself. And they are like, no, here's a coffee. And they would rub my
Mm.
shoulders. And I really do feel love from the community that I have at work.
Right.
It's really a blessing. So that's definitely another positive area that I have
Absolutely.
for social influence in my life.
Absolutely. And I love that for you. I love it when we share stories and you tell me about all the positive vibes that you get, around your coworkers, and I agree completely. It's extended family.
Mhm.
100% extended family. I know I look really forward to all the things that we want to do in the future, business wise, and be able to have that kind of community around us a lot and spread that as well. So I can't wait for that. I know that's
Yay.
very
I look
exciting.
forward to.
Yay! Absolutely. Yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl.
I love it. And I think that's real good. I love all those things. And I love how
Absolutely.
it's that flip side of it, right? There's the yin and yang with
Absolutely.
influence.
I
Hmm.
mean, how can we know what bad is without good and vice versa? How can we know what love is without being hated? We
Absolutely.
need these dichotomies. We act like it's a bad thing. It's bad versus good, but
Hmm.
it's not really. It's literally one version versus another version, two sides of
Exactly.
the coin. And if you just start embracing these things and not always resisting everything that doesn't feel good, then you can learn a lot in life, because life never, anywhere have I ever heard it guaranteed you to always have the best outcome and always be happy and everything work in your favor. I mean, life is literally about having all these different things thrown at you, and how do
Mhm.
you react and respond to these things?
Yeah.
And everyone, no matter rich or poor, whatever ethnicity one has, they're all having similar experiences, just in
Right.
different ways.
Absolutely. Well, and in our trials is when we learn. When we fail, that's when we learn our lessons. So we have to have all the sides. Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
no matter how much we love or dislike one or the other, it's we have to, like, it's just balance. Balance.
Right. I tell my children all the time that whenever there's a problem, instead of being angry and overwhelmed by it, look at it like a mathematical problem and
Mhm.
realize that it's solvable. So instead of putting all that energy into being mad,
Mhm.
have a moment of being upset or disappointed. That's fine, but just let it be a moment. Let it be
Mhm.
a time, 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, under five, whatever,
Right.
and decide that after that it is time to solve this. I'm not
Mhm.
going to sit here and waste my test time all
Right.
on my attitude and my emotions, but I'm going to go, okay, this is not going my way. Is this something that I can even change in the first place? Yes or no? And if it's yes, then the next thing is, let's figure out solutions, even ones that make you uncomfortable, because it's still a solution. And the ones that make you uncomfortable grow you more. So you're going to
Absolutely.
only benefit more from those weird, uncomfortable solutions to these problems that seem to be an issue, but they're really just something to grow and build you and strengthen you and sharpen you, so to speak.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. There's actually one other point that I want to add before we wrap this up tonight.
Yeah.
I watched something on Netflix. It's one of those documentaries. Since we're talking about these positive influences of media, this case, the Gabby Petito documentary.
Oh my
So,
God, I just saw that one.
okay, yeah, yeah. So wild, wild what happened.
Very.
So, the point that I want to talk about here. So, there's lots of things that we could talk about that documentary. What I want to
Funny.
focus on for this moment. This was something that so many people were out there trying to find Gabby. To make a very long story short, a fellow van life vlogger looked back on their old footage and was able to find a video that had that van. So they turned that in, or they put that on blast, and it was able to get to the police. So they time stamped it when that van was there to the time of Gabby's death, closed in the proximity of their search, because they were searching all kinds of places, right?
Yeah.
Marked
It
it
was, I think,
down.
I believe, coast to coast, something crazy
It
like
was
that.
it was a very large
Yeah,
so
perimeter.
it was
You're
able to
right.
scale it down, and it led to clues that solved her missing persons case.
That's
Period.
crazy. Wow.
Media, a social media post gave clues and solved a case of a
That's
missing person.
amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Within weeks, not even a whole month of her
Right.
disappearance, within weeks of her disappearance, like two,
Crazy.
maybe three. That's
Crazy.
extremely impressive. There are people who have been missing for 20 plus years
Yep.
that
Yep.
people are still looking for and trying to find justice. And she wasn't even gone for
Yep.
20 plus days. That's
Wow.
amazing. Like,
Absolutely.
wow, what a blessing that we have a community
Mm,
that cares that much.
right.
Oh, and by the way,
That
she wasn't
was,
even a child. This was a young woman.
yeah, she was
She
a
was
young
an
one.
adult. She was in
Yep.
her early 20s, but she was not a baby. She's someone's child. but she was
Absolutely.
not a child, an underage child. So
Right.
I think that's important to note as well,
Absolutely.
that an adult woman's disappearance brought on that much community effort and that they could help
Yeah.
find her body.
And there was a platform to be able
Wow.
to put that mad blast about the van,
Wow.
as
Yeah.
opposed to just some flyers being posted up with someone's face on it.
That part, the old school, or the milk carton.
Or the milk carton, or Blockbuster's kid print.
You did just talk to me about that today. I don't remember that, but my parents didn't care that much about me. So I'm just going to say right now, I never had my picture taken, not once, not twice, not thrice. Okay. Like my parents barely noticed when I was home. You know how they talk about those commercials back in the day when they were like around 10 o'clock, they're like, hello, it's the 10 o'clock news. Do you know
You
where your
know,
children are? No, my parents did not know where their children are. Let me tell you right now, they did not know. And I don't even think they cared.
oh God.
When I tell you when I was very little, they explicitly let me know they believe that God and community raises their children. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm gonna get like minimal support here. Good to know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Good to
I
know.
mean,
I am on my
you
own.
always knew. You always knew
Yeah.
I
From
was
like
gonna.
2 and 3 when I had no curfew and I was out till 1 o'clock in the morning at 2 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I only
So
know this from physical evidence of photos that my parents took of me sleeping outside the wrong apartment door. So I
I
wish I made
laugh
this stuff up.
because of the absolute insanity. Like
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I
They didn't know
remember
any better.
how.
They both had brain injuries.
Well, I remember when Mom would call over at your house looking for me,
Of course.
and your dad would answer, and she'd be like, "Is Jackie there?" And he'd be like, "Who?" And she'd be like, "Jackie, she's friends with your daughter Debbie." And he'd be like, "Oh, yeah." And she'd be like, "Are they there?" He's like, "No." "Well, where are they?" "I don't know."
Literally.
My mom would go nuts.
That was always his response. I don't know. Like, it's his responsibility to know where his 12-year-old child is. Why would I know where my 12-year-old child is? If she was here, I
let,
would
alone,
know.
let alone your kid.
You want me to know where your kid and my kid is? You're asking too much, lady.
Too much.
You're just asking too much. When they're in front of me, I'll let you know. When
Yeah,
I can see them, I got you. Until then, I don't know.
I don't know.
But you know who does know? God. Maybe we should pray. A little prayer.
Yes.
Figure out where they're at today.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
when my mom called the cops because she couldn't find me. It's terrible, but yeah. 'Cause we were walking around. We were walking. Yeah, that part.
Apparently getting exercise back in the 90s
Because
was
we
an
went
issue.
outside. We went outside.
Yeah, her mom wanted her locked inside all the time, and my parents wanted me outside all the time. Do you see the difference in the parenting skills? Do you see the difference? My parents are like, leave. I was like the hose kid that people talk about where you had to drink water out the hose because I wasn't
Right,
allowed
right,
into the
right. Because
kitchen.
you
That
weren't
was
allowed
me.
inside.
That was me. She wasn't allowed outside. She was the opposite way. She had the bottled water and the movies and the 5 foot billboard of Enrique Iglesias to promote her to want to stay home. But no, not me. My parents ripped those down and kicked my ass out the house
and my
like
and
a
my
good old parent did.
and my Ace of Base tape.
Yeah,
that's
that one
that's a story. That's a,
I was definitely at a different point in my life. Let's
yeah,
just say
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
let's leave that for another
That's
episode.
another episode.
Remind us about the Ace of Ace. You guys, if you care.
Yeah,
If
yes.
you don't, it's okay. We still
Exactly.
enjoy it.
Yes, it's funny. Yes, I love all of this, Deborah. I love it. I definitely think that we talked a lot about a lot of good points here. There's probably still so many more that we still haven't even touched on. And I encourage all of our viewers to, if you think of anything that you want to add or discuss, feel more than welcome to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Share too. Share our
Yep,
video if
share
you
it.
like it
Share it.
enough.
Absolutely.
Share it with specific people though. We don't need all the haters, okay?
And we appreciate all the love and give much love. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye.